Björn Malmquist á blaðamannafundurinn þar sem að fulltrúar Alþjóðagjaldeyrissjóðsins ætla að segja frá við vitum ekki hverju. Björn.
Það rétt Bogi, við erum stödd hérna í húsakynjum ríkissáttasemjara í Borgartúninu. Hérna í þessum panel sita Paul Thomsen sem aðstoðarforstjóri Evrópudeildar sjóðsins og Petja Brooks sem aðal hagfræðingur og þau ætla að kynna aðkomu sjóðsins að þessum aðgerðum hér á Íslandi. Við skulum gefa þeim orðið núna.
Þá vil ég bjóða okkur velkomin á þennan blaðamannafund. Við erum hérna til þess að kynna sendinefnd IMF sem búin að vera hér á staðnum í töluverðan tíma og farið yfir ýmis mál með stofnunum á Íslandi, Seðlabankanum, fjármálaráðuneytinu og hverjum viljið nefna til. Friðrik Már hefur verið í forystu fyrir það að safna gögnum ýmsa hluti efnahagslega fyrir hópinn og það sem hefur tekið tíma í þessu máli að IMF sendirnefndin hefur viljað draga saman efni og svo má á móti segja að ríkisstjórnin hefur viljað hafa ákveðna fullvissu það að ekki væri líklegt að yrði einhverjar óásættanlegar kröfur í því sem að kæmi af hálfu IMF. Þannig að allt hefur þetta tekið sinn tíma en nú hefur ríkisstjórn tekið ákvörðun og það var tilkynnt fyrir stuttu síðan á blaðamannafundi af hálfu ríkisstjórnarinnar og við erum sjálfsagt ekki hér til að svara fyrir hana heldur til þess að gera grein fyrir þessum ferli og ég vil bara gefa, þau eru hér tvö. Það Paul Thomsen sem aðstoðarframkvæmdastjóri Evrópudeildar hjá IMF og Petja Brooks, ég veit ekki hvort ég ber þetta nóga fallega fram, sem yfirhagfræðingur hjá Evrópudeild IMF. Og then I give you the floor.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Let me start by saying that we have reached agreement with a team of experts from the government on a program that could be supported by a standby arrangement from the IMF. We have agreed ad referendum, as we say in the business. That means that now we have to go back to Washington and get our management and the IMF board to agree to the program. So what is this about? As you know, we have an unprecedented situation with 3 banks accounting for 1,000% of GDP having collapsed and caused severe disruption in the financial system. The government has intervened, and we have 3 new banks up and working. Deposits are safe, and we begin to have a workable domestic banking system. However, there's no interbank transaction, and we have a collapsed foreign exchange market. No foreign exchange transactions means severe disruptions to external trade, means severe disruptions to import, which of course is a serious matter, not least for a country like Iceland, and that of course lends urgency to what we have been doing. What is the outlook? There's no doubt that this disruption in the financial sector will have severe implications for the real sector, for the entire economy, and there's no doubt that Iceland is facing a very difficult period ahead. We estimate that the contraction in GDP next year can be as much as 10%. It's obviously an estimate subject to considerable uncertainty, but it undoubtedly is going to be a difficult period ahead. What are the risks? The risks in the very short run is that once we reopen the foreign exchange market, that there is going to be a surge of capital outflow, of capital, that because of what has happened in the banking system, people want to take their money out of Iceland, and there's a risk that this will result in a further sharp downward pressure on the krona. cause significant depreciation, as we say. And here the real risk is that because of the high indebtedness of both the household and the corporate sector, and in particular because of a very large share of debt in foreign exchange and inflation indexed, that if the krona was to depreciate significantly, you would have severe disruptions, severe stress in the corporate and household sector, and of course it will ultimately then lead to further disruption in the real sector and further downward pressure on production and employment. So we believe that the immediate, urgent challenge facing the government is to stabilize the krona. Looking ahead to the medium term, the challenge is clearly to regain or to ensure, I should say, fiscal sustainability. There's no doubt that when this banking crisis, when it has all been added up, that it will leave the public sector with a significantly increased debt burden. Iceland will go from being a country with a public sector with a relatively low, quite low public debt to one with a very high public debt. Now, I cannot tell you how much and we will actually not know for a few years until the total value of assets of these banks has been established. But there's no doubt that the Icelandic government suddenly faces a difficult fiscal challenge and need to embark on a fiscal medium-term fiscal consolidation plan. So this points to what the objectives is. One, stabilize the krona. Two, be sure that there is medium-term fiscal sustainability. And three, of course, restore a well-functioning and safe banking system. I can sketch very briefly, we'll take questions afterwards, the main modalities of the program that the government is about to launch with our help. On the fiscal side, there are three components. What happens in a situation like this is that output will, as I said, contract severely. The fiscal deficit will go up sharply because of much lower taxes, because of increase in expenditure due to higher unemployment compensation, higher social transfer, etc. The first part of the program is essentially to let that happen, not to try to counter that through fiscal tightening in the midst of this sharp downturn in output. So we are going to let it happen. We're not considering to introduce fiscal tightening while production and employment are being affected unfavorably by these developments in the financial sector. However, as a second step, that once the output and employment sort of contraction bottom out, and the objective should be to then begin on a program of medium-term consolidation over a number of years, undertake sustained fiscal consolidation on both the revenue and expenditure side. And finally, I think that one could lend some credibility to this medium-term fiscal program by strengthening the fiscal framework, have some medium-term budgeting framework, and we have discussed that also. That was fiscal. On money, which is money and exchange rate policies, which comes to what I said is the immediate objective, to stabilize the krona. There's no doubt that monetary policy will have to be relatively tight for a while to prevent capital from flying out and cause this severe drop in the krona. But there's also no doubt that even with such a tightening of monetary policy, there's need to supply the foreign exchange market with foreign exchange to cushion the negative impact on the krona of this tendency to capital outflow and other outflow. So an integral part of this is that we are going to put in money, and there are a number of other creditors that are likely to, or partner countries that are likely to put in money when we do so, and and part of this money will be used to cushion the impact on the foreign exchange market in the coming weeks and months, to help stabilize the krona. I think that if this works as it's planned to do, and I think it will, it's a very strong program. I think it's we should soon see the considerable stability in the foreign exchange market. We should soon see a normalization that all trade-related payments can go into the foreign exchange market without any restrictions. Normalization of supply and demand in the foreign exchange market, and I think that then will set the stage for a gradual easing of monetary policy, and this will create the lasting condition for more easy money and bring inflation on a downward path. We are hopeful that inflation is gonna start going down pretty soon, and we see it being down at about 4.5% by the end of next year. I think I'm going to stop here and take questions. Friedrich, would you like to add something?
There was the third component banking.
He mentioned that in the beginning. Okay. You want to say a little bit about banking up front instead of questions?
Sure, we can do that. If I could just add a couple of words about another part of the measures in the program that we've been talking about. As Paul mentioned, the fiscal and the monetary part, and more generally stabilizing the exchange rate market and stabilizing the krona is a key aspect. Now, another part which in our views is extremely important as well is to ensure that that going forward, Iceland has a banking system which is viable and which is going to be able to support the eventual economic recovery. So from that point of view, in that area, in the banking area, we've been talking about a number of elements in order to ensure that the process on going forward and the process going towards this objective is as smooth as possible. And if I were to be a little bit more specific, I think one could say that one area is setting up an organizational structure which is going to make it possible to maximize the recovery of assets from the banks that had been intervened, the old banks. Another part is related to ensuring that the valuation of the assets in both the old and the new banks proceeds in a way which makes the process as smooth as possible. And then, of course, there's the aspect of reviewing the regulatory and supervisory practices, so that going forward, the problems that the banking sector had experienced recently are less likely to recur. And perhaps if I could just add one more thing here, of course, another part would be to, again, in terms of facilitating the process, to have an approach which is collaborative in order to make sure that the recovery in the banking system and the overall impact on the economy is done as well as possible.
Okay, Friedrich, would you like to add something?
Well, not at this stage. I'm just happy that we've reached an agreement, and I think this opportunity is not really for me. It's for the IMF delegation to perhaps explain and answer some questions about the process.
Okay,
and what's involved.
Let's have questions then.
Can we just present ourselves so they know who we are?
My name is Lydia from Channel 2. What can you tell us about the conditions for this loan?
Well, I can tell you that what you call the condition is an agreement on on policies in a number of areas, on policies that we think will deliver the objectives. The objectives being to stabilize the krona, and the objective being to ensure medium-term fiscal sustainability. And it's a wide range of policy changes that the government is contemplating, is planning to undertake in order to achieve this, and that's what we are supporting. It's a program that makes us disperse our money, the whole program in its entirety.
Do you make any conditions about the health system here or something like that?
It is there are nothing related to public expenditure cuts, higher taxes. There's nothing in that. There is an undertaking over the medium term, starting in 2010, to be sure that debt, which is going to go up very much, starts declining, and the government needs to come up with a plan for that, and will be working on that. The measures that are being taken here and now are the measures that are pertinent for the main problem we're facing here now, namely to stabilize the krona. So, no.
There has been some decision about the ISAFE accounts in Britain. Does that affect this agreement?
Well, there is what is part of this agreement is that there are discussions underway between the Icelandic government and governments in the countries where Icelandic banks were operating, and the only thing that's assumed in this program really is that process is a collaborative one, and we are not prejudging outcome of this, but we have the Icelandic government has said they want to do this in a collaborative and non-discriminatory manner, and that's what matters.
Set any conditions that you have to pay a certain amount or something like that?
Sorry.
You don't set any claims that we have to pay a certain amount for?
There's nothing in our agreement that insists on it being done one way or the other. We will, of course, have to make assumptions about how it's done, and these assumptions will have to be adjusted as the government comes to an agreement with other countries. But this is this is between the Icelandic government and countries in other countries.
Hello, I'm a journalist for the Icelandic Financial News. I would like to ask you, because you mentioned a tighter monetary policy, would that mean higher interest rates for the Central Bank of Iceland?
There will be a tightening of monetary conditions. What exactly that entails, the detail of, you will see that in the next few days. I think it's too early to talk about the details. But fundamentally, if you want to stabilize the krona, you need to be sure that there is not that monetary conditions are relatively tight, so it's difficult to switch out of Icelandic krona and into foreign exchange.
Two questions, Mr. Thompson. You talked about other creditors being lined up to assist Iceland. Do you have an indication of who they are and what they will bring? Well, and to Mrs. Brooks, you talked about reviewing the regulatory processes in Iceland, so and to ensure that things like this won't happen again. So my question is: have you found out that the regulatory processes have not been satisfactory here?
Should I start? On the financing, we estimate that there is during the next, should we say, 2 years, there's a need to find financing for. I mean, the number that has been out there already is 6 billion. This is not an exact science to estimate that, but it's up around that number, of which the IMF will be providing $2 billion. And as it's always the case, that an important role of the IMF is not only to provide its own money and our advice, but also that our presence catalyze additional support from other sources. In this case, I'm sure that not least the other Nordic countries are going to look favorable at an arrangement. I mean, I have not had contact with all of them yet, but I at least know some of them have already had delegations here and are working on that. There are a number of other countries who have given some indication of willingness to support. And this is indeed one of the things that we need to work on starting now in the next few days, essentially before we take this program to the IMF's executive board, that we should be able to be more precise on what is the support from others. But I'm quite hopeful that we will be able to find that kind of money.
Just a quick follow-up on your answer, sir. So the additional $4 billion would have to be lined up before the board could take a final decision?
No. There would have to be commitments that give us a reasonable assurance, at least during the first year of the program. It's a 2-year program, that it was financed, and it doesn't mean that the money has to be in the bank, so to speak. It's just an indication of credits that they're willing to and then we will review it as a year goes along if there's need for any adjustments in the program in light of available external financing.
The whole package is $6 billion.
Over a 2-year period, approximately. Yeah, it's the program would be sound and sustainable with a little bit less. But it's around that number.
Thank you. And in response to your question, I think we would not like to prejudge, I think, at this stage as to what a review of the supervisory and regulatory practices would show. I think the point, as I mentioned at the beginning, is that we just want to make sure that the process is in place to evaluate what has happened. So an option there is to have an external and experienced bank supervisor who would go ahead with the review, and then the outcome of that review would be shared with everybody, and then so that going forward the sort of recommendations which would come out from that sort of review would be incorporated in the practices going forward.
And this review will come from the IMF, the person or the institution to review the framework? Would it come from the IMF or from Icelandic authorities?
There is. Let me explain a little bit about the modalities of such a standby arrangement. It comes with the money is being made available in some installments with a big upfront disbursement, and then 8 quarterly disbursements. And these quarterly disbursements are subject to a review of the program. That's nothing else than the government would do itself, asking itself, is this program still on track? We know that things never pan out the way one expects. One way or the other, things change. We live in a rapidly changing world, so we have to constantly change and modify this program in response to the developing situation. And so that's what we do. Ask ourselves every quarter, what has changed? Is the program still on track? And in that respect, we are also going to ask ourselves every quarter, how is the external financing situation?
Can you tell us anything about the terms of the loan, the cost of the loan for the Icelandic economy, and the interest rate?
Well, the interest rate changes every 2 weeks. You can log into the IMF website and see it. The repayment starts in
2012.
2012. It's about $800 million that's going to be dispersed up front, and the rest is going to be probably in equal installments. Although I should say that this is actually not. This could change. We'll have to have a look a little bit more where during the year the needs are and the seasonality of these things. It's a technical issue, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Brooks, you've been here for some time now. You were also the head of the delegation who came here last summer to do a review of the economic situation in Iceland. In your judgment, just briefly, if you can, given the situation right now, what are the main weaknesses and perhaps the main strengths of the economic system here as we go forward?
Well, what I could say is that going forward, there will be some tough times in the short run, in the next couple of years. I think there's just no way around it, given what has happened and given how big the banking crisis is. I think it would be inevitable that there will be output losses, that there will be some costs in the short run. However, I think we said this when we were here in June, and I guess I could say it again. I think in the long run, the prospects for this economy and for this country are very good. This is a country that has incredible flexibility and which is known to adjust very quickly to adverse shocks. It has very flexible labor markets. It has very flexible product markets. It has enormous potential in terms of untapped energy resources. So I think this is really the strength. And going forward, this is something that we're hopeful that is going to materialize. So in terms of the program and what we're doing here, we're just trying to help figure out how to stabilize the situation so that over the medium, the long term, Iceland could go back to the road of a recovery, and to be able to tap into some of these strengths.
If I can add to that, historically, the Icelandic economy, because of its dependence on fisheries and alumina energy, has seen some fairly big shocks, stronger shocks than more diversified economies have been exposed to. And you have a good track record of adjusting fast to these shocks. I mean, the negative side of it is that output goes down fairly dramatically and quickly in the short run. But it will, the other side of this is that it does start recover fairly fast again. So I am, and I should say that adjustment is already underway. The current account, which last year was deficit of 13%, or what was it?
It was more like 15,
16. 15%, I'm told. 16. It was already swinging into a surplus. So this is adjustment is well underway already, I would say.
There a question and then again.
No, I just wanted to ask, you said earlier that you were... Oh, sorry, my name is Svanborg, I'm from Fréttablaðið and AFP. You said earlier that you were expecting 4.5% inflation by the end of next year.
Yes.
Which is pretty then sharp decline of inflation in just 1 year. On what do you base those calculations?
Well, I based it on the fact that that we are having this program where the main objective is in the short run to stabilize the krona. And I think when you stabilize the krona, you will see inflation coming down fast. There are other supporting elements. We do support. We do assume that social partners have agreed to a wage settlement that is supportive of the program. It's packaged, and I think on the strengths of the entire package, I think it's realistic that to assume inflation going down to that level by the end of next year.
We will stop in 5 minutes, so then there's plenty of time to do one by one. So some few more questions.
How does the current monetary policy conducted by the Icelandic Central Bank fit into this program? I mean, are we still going to see this interest rate monetary policy? I mean, is it going to be?
Well, I mean, this package has been discussed and agreed with the central bank. It's as I said, I don't want to go into the details. They will be known next week. It's in the short run. It's next couple of weeks, couple of months. I think we'll have to apply a number of measures. Some of them traditional, some of them not so traditional. In the near term, there are going to be restriction on access to foreign exchange. There's no doubt about that. So this is this whole range of measures and full agreement between us and the Central Bank of Iceland on that.
Okay. One question here. I mean, then we will close this session and do one by one after your question.
Through the time you've been here, has there been a full agreement between you and the Central Bank?
Has there been what?
A full agreement between you and the Central Bank, for instance, when they lowered the interest rate?
Well, this has been, this is a process of discussing. It's as much a process of learning and understanding. This is, I can assure you, I've been in this business for 27 years, and this is a very complex technical situation because of the collapse of banks accounting for 1,000% of GDP. Just the time we have spent understanding the quantitative aspects of the problem. It's extremely complex, and it takes time, and it's only towards the end that you really start getting to discussion of policies and what should be done to deal with the problem. So.
Close to answering the question.
Well, I thought it was a good. We have to. I think it was. We have been discussing policies the last few days, and I have seen no disagreement. On the contrary, we had a meeting with the governor and the chairman of the bank, and saying that he agrees with the fundamental measures in this program.
But did you agree with lowering the interest rates?
We were not consulted on that decision.
Okay, then we will close this session. This group from IMF will also try to catch a plane, so we will do then the one by one like in 15-20 minutes. So please just try to let them catch a plane. But we will do one by one up here, if that is okay.
Já, það eru sem blaðamannafundir lokið hér í húsakynum ríkissáttasemjara, þar sem að fulltrúar Alþjóðagjaldeyrissjóðsins kynntu þetta plan, töluðu vítt og breitt svona þær aðgerðir sem að verður gripið til hér á næstu vikum og mánuðum. Þar á meðal sagði aðalhagfræðingur Evrópudeildar sjóðsins að hann byggist við að verðbólga yrði hér komin niður í 4,5% í lok næsta árs.